Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me. And I'm back. I am back with a brand new What If. What if Deku had an item enhancement quirk? And it's part one of however many I end up making it. Shout out to the boy Xblick for making the thumbnail, as always. Most of the time, or at least recently, he's been doing my thumbnails. Because he's the one that is unoccupied at the moment in terms of being able to help me out. But normally it's either a mix of me making it, Crown making it, or if you don't know, Crown Fiend, or Xblick making it. This one is by Xblick. So if y'all enjoy, make sure to show some love. And yeah, that's about it. I'm not going to waste that much more of your time. And let's get into part one of What If Deku had an item enhancement quirk. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya is born a normal kid. Normal as being born into a society full of superhuman-like people could be. Superheroes, or more or less superpowers, other known as quirks in this society, are extremely prevalent. Those who are of super-powered, super strength, super speed, stuff like that, would raise up above most people to become proper heroes. Some who are born with insane intellect or the capabilities of making amazing items are more down the line of support heroes. On top of that, let's not forget, there are many that build this society. The businesses, the people that pay the money to these heroes so that they can do this as a job, and they can do this for forever, as long as their legs will take them. Now, Izuku Midoriya was born wanting to be a hero. His mother may have had a weak quirk and his father may have been absent, but he's heard stories. He's heard many things, and on top of that, at the age of 3 and 4, he was watching All Might on the screen. He was watching the #1 hero destroy, conquer, defeat every villain that laid in front of him. The symbol of peace was an understatement. He wasn't just a symbol of peace. He was a symbol for everybody. A symbol of prosperity. A symbol of a hero. A true hero. Many would be jealous of All Might, trying to scratch and claw their way up, trying to get to All Might's throne, but All Might would never think of it as a throne, and that's what would make him so great. That's what would make All Might the best. Still, Izuku, young kids like Izuku, would watch everything that happens, would watch All Might himself, and, well, they would be excited. They would want to be like him, Izuku included. But at the age of 4, it would be very apparent that Izuku wouldn't be able to be like All Might. But his expectations were not any lower. He would arrive at the doctor's with his mother, and they would listen to the doctor explain exactly what his quirk is. It seems that he has some sort of magical touch in a way. You could call it in layman's terms. He explains and continues to explain that his quirk has something to do with the things around him. Enhancement of some sorts. He can enhance items or enhance objects. Clothing, sweaters, swords, armor, anything you can really think of, he can enhance. Now, this would be perfect for a support hero. Izuku, hearing this initially, didn't really like this idea. He doesn't want to be a support hero. He wants to be like All Might. He wants to be amazing. He wants to be super powered. He wants to be super strong, protect everybody. But the doctor says that being a support hero is just as good. He can truly help others, truly help everyone around him if he properly uses his quirk. His quirk right now seems to be relatively limited, at least in terms of the ideas he can do, but in the future, he could be extremely powerful, extremely strong. Maybe it's not him necessarily that is the strong person, and it might be making others more powerful, but Think about it. Think about what you could help All Might with. Imagine making All Might something that would make him even stronger. This is something that Izuku hasn't even thought about himself. I mean, obviously not. I mean, he's just a little kid learning about his new quirk. But he's happy to hear that he has such a special quirk. And after that was said, he would then be led away with Inko, and also the doctor would tell him good luck. Frankly, everyone needs some luck to be a hero, so he wishes him the best and hopes that he can become one in his future. Izuku's happy, and they head home. And frankly, all Izuku can think about is how he can make everything around him better, stronger, faster, anything. So he begins to just think about other ways of how he can use his item enhancements. He begins to think, how could he help his mother with it? So that's exactly what he thinks about as well. He finds his mother's favorite clothing, and he actually begins to enhance her clothing, which is kind of interesting. So he begins to enhance her clothing, and it actually gives her a small boost in speed, stamina, and everything else. She's actually surprised. This does make Izuku a little bit tired. I mean, he's kind of like just needs a bit of a rest, but still, it was pretty insane. Inko even finds it to be insane as well, thinks it's amazing. And over the next couple of years, Izuku would be kind of treated in his school as an anomaly. Frankly, some kids would believe that he has some special quirk like item enhancement. Some would believe he's kind of just touching an item and not really doing anything, and they refuse to admit that it's anything different. But that happens. Frankly, kids are a bit cruel nowadays, so they're not going to believe everything Izuku has to say, even if it is the truth. But as Izuku gets older, he continues to bug his mom about helping other agencies, helping other heroes. That's kind of what Izuku wants to do, especially off rip. That's all he wants to do. His eyes are already set on UA, but he wants to be the best support hero he possibly can be, and he can even get a jump start right now. Frankly, many support heroes, when they're young, especially if they're talented, they get a bit of a jump start. They are able to help other agencies pretty early on, and on top of that, make some money. So around the age of about 12 or 10 to 12 years old, he would be doing just that. We're talking about technology that would be enhanced by Izuku, that would allow people to either it be lighter for them or allow them to be quicker, faster, more stamina, anything you could really think of. It actually benefits him. And of course, this does drain Izuku. I mean, he can't just infinitely do this all the time and be like, oh yeah, I'm fine, I could do this all day long. No, of course not. He has to really limit himself, you could say. Let's say if an agency reaches out to him and says that they want 100 different items enhanced, this could take days, really, maybe even a week. He can't do like 100 items in a day. It would drain him so bad that he'd probably pass out for days. So he has to spread it out a certain distance. But with all that said, that's some money he would definitely be putting in his pocket and his family's pocket because of it. So he'd be making money off of the agencies for products that are already theirs. So this would be amazing for Izuku. He puts his mother in a brand new home, and let's be honest, his mother's not going to have to work anymore, not at all, because they're going to be able to save and rack up enough money throughout this time that it's completely fine. On top of that, Japan would be giving him grants and so on and so forth for all of the amazing work he's been doing. I mean, he's still a student after all. So at the age of about 13 to 14, he's already had substantial work progress with many agencies. Agencies that are like, well, endeavors. Think about Night Eyes. And then obviously some of the smaller ones, even small dojos like Gunhead and stuff like that, he would assist all of them. It just all depends on a couple things. Izuku would be happy to gain as much progress as possible in terms of making money and building relationships with these people. On top of that, it would lead to him having a bit of a friendship with someone he eventually meets at a pretty young age. At about 13-14 years old, he would meet someone by the name of Mei Hatsume, a brilliant future support hero, and she might be a little bit insane. I mean, that's just something that Izuku has noticed, but he has met her and she's made some amazing support items and some amazing things, and she's seen some, or she's actually worked with some people as well. But frankly, it's kind of insane to think about. Izuku obviously would want to work with her because he can just make her stuff better. But they do get in touch a little bit, talk about some things, but ultimately they decide to really collab more once they both go to UA. At least that's the plan. Izuku has a free ticket into UA. UA, Shiketsu High, every high school you can think of in Japan is calling his number because they know that if they get him in to a school, they're basically getting a free support hero that would upgrade and more or less gross a ton of, well, items, projects, anything you can think of, and it would be perfect to have Izuku Midoriya coming out of UA or coming out of a different high school. They know the popularity that would come for, and they know how much agencies would work with them because of it. So this is definitely, in a way, a product placement for Izuku, but it might sound crazy, but Izuku would definitely have a good bit of advantage in terms of money he'll make off of it. I mean, of course, if he goes to UA, UA's not going to be the only one making profit off of him. He has to make profit off of his own likeness and also how good he can do certain things in terms of his quirk, of course. But UA would also be able to broaden his horizons even more than what he already has. Yes, he's worked with top heroes, but there is heroes all around that still haven't worked with him, are still skeptical because, well, he's just a kid in his own basement. Or, well, now in his nice house. Let's be honest, Izuku is ballin' at this point. But still, Izuku's progression is noticeable in terms of his quirk usage and how he utilizes it, and also the boosts and strengths that he gives certain items. So it's definitely something beneficial for UA to have on their side. UA wants to train him, get him even stronger, make him have even better progression. So when he gets an invitation to more or less go to UA as a support hero, it doesn't surprise him. He does have to go through some testing, and of course that would be very normal, but that's what all the letter would say. Testing and certain things like that, and just a bit of an interview. And that's really it, and he should be home free into UA. He's happy to hear this, but he still needs to basically go through the rest of his middle school days before he gets to that, in which would be pretty easy. He aces all his tests and stuff and so on and so forth. And it might also be because of the help of his clothing, which might sound weird, but when you are someone that can boost different attributes about yourself via your clothing, who says that Izuku won't just boost his intelligence to a small margin? Don't get me wrong, he can't boost his IQ by like 30 points or anything. He can't like make himself extremely a mastermind or anything like Albert Einstein or something. But he can definitely boost his remembering, or his memory. I don't know why I said his memory, and also boost other attributes about himself. So studying, testing, super easy. Middle school would be a breeze, and at the end of middle school, everybody would be talking about if they're gonna go to a hero school and who's going to UA, in which Bakugo makes it a statement that he's going to UA and he's going to make sure he's the only one that goes. But Izuku says that he's already gotten letters from UA and that he'll be headed to UA. But of course Bakugo says that he's just some lousy support hero. But Izuku says that he's the one that's going to make him strong. So who's really lousy? And in which Bakugo gets really mad and steps up toward Izuku and is about to throw an explosion at him, but the teacher reminds Bakugo that he could put a stain on his record so bad if he does what he's about to do. And of course, Bakugo would be like, oh, well, I gotta sit down then. So he does just that. Of course, the homeroom teacher, the teacher of Izuku, Bakugo, and many others, favors Izuku a little bit more. I mean, Izuku's kind of a big deal now. And on top of that, Izuku has helped out around the classroom. He's extremely intelligent. He does all the good things in class. He aces everything. So it's kind of hard to be mad at the person that has a good attitude and aces everything, compared to the person that has this horrible attitude and aces most, if not everything. With that said though, Izuku is ready to just get out of there, finish off this day and head home, in which after the day is over, he does just that. He begins heading home and he heads under this so-called bridge, going the long way home, writing down as much things as possible, thinking about different ways to upgrade and enhance other people, heroes alike, from All Might to Endeavor to Hawks to Mirako to Night Eye to anybody you can think about. He's been writing about. He's been trying to think about different ways to enhance these top tier heroes, maybe give Endeavor a more resistant type of enhancement. But how would he even do that with the suit that he has? It's very weird. But he hasn't worked with Endeavor personally. Let's be honest, he hasn't worked with any of these top heroes personally. I mean, most of them, they want his assistance, but more or less want the assistance for their cronies, more or less their lower tier people, sidekicks and so on. So he hasn't worked with them up ahead, but he will work with them eventually once he goes to UA. After he crosses through the bridge though, he hears something behind him, the sludge villain. Breaking free out of the sewers, he begins to scream toward Izuku, saying that he needs his body, which is extremely creepy. Izuku backs up and immediately would run away, in which the sludge villain would be shocked. How the hell is this kid so fast? How is he not, well, slowing down? How am I not able to keep up? Which definitely shocks the sludge villain. But just as the sludge villain is seemingly sort of catching up to Izuku, well, a loud "I am here" comes from behind him, and a gust of wind would go flying through, smashing the sludge villain into a wall as Izuku dodges to the side. He looks up to see the sludge villain splattered everywhere, and as he looks toward the tunnel, a giant man would slowly walk out. It's All Might. It's All Might. Izuku would run over and say how much of a fan he is and so on and so forth, and that he's super excited, and he's heard rumors that he's actually going to be at UA, in which All Might asks how he even figured that out, because they only told one person about that, or at least have hinted at it to one person to get him to go, and that's, oh wait, it's you. All Might says that he knows exactly who Izuku is. He's heard about him. He's heard about his work with support items and so on. And he was the only person that they told about All Might going to UA. Yes, in that letter, they used that as a way to sway Izuku to go to UA. That's how big of a commodity Izuku is at this moment. All Might says that it's a pleasure, but Izuku says no, it's a pleasure to meet him, and he says that he hopes to work with All Might very soon. He would love to work on some support items for him, maybe to make him even stronger. Izuku, or All Might, would smile and said that and says that would be great, because there are a lot of things he needs to speak with Izuku about, a lot of things. In which Izuku says that anytime, anywhere, he'll be there to help out All Might and help out everyone else as much as possible. All Might thanks him for his hospitality and asks him to basically help clean up the sludge villain. They do just that, and All Might exchanges numbers with Izuku, saying that if he ever wants some training in, he can definitely get it. He knows that he's a support hero, but maybe one of these days he'll be on the front lines and will want to fight with his teammates and his classmates, so training won't ever hurt him. In which he thinks this is a great idea. Maybe this will help with the stamina issue with his quirk, and maybe it will even help further on, because he's kind of been just relying on him getting older for his quirk to get more stamina. But what if he just starts working out, getting swole, you know what I'm saying? But what if he just starts working out? Frankly, it would probably benefit him tenfold. In which All Might loves the idea of this and gives Izuku a thumbs up as he jumps off with the sludge villain. Izuku would be happy. This is the best day of his life. Nothing could make this even better. This is amazing. He heads home and he talks to his mother about exactly what happened, but of course she's concerned about the fact that he got attacked by a villain, in which it was actually just coincidence. To be fair, it wasn't because of who he is or what he can do and stuff like that. It was literally just coincidence, but still, she doesn't like the idea that he got attacked by a villain. Still though, his mother is happy that her son got the interaction with All Might and so on and so forth. And also happy and proud of him. I mean, how would she not be? He's basically a grown man now. He's done so much on his own and done so much to help Hero Society already So it's just a fantastic thing. Izuku would continue just working and trying to grow as a quote-unquote hero, or at least a future hero. And eventually he would call All Might and ask him for some specialized training. All Might says that is completely fine as long as he's okay with training with someone else, in which he says that's completely fine as well. He thinks that's a great idea, maybe it would be definitely beneficial. In which when he arrives, he would begin training with a girl actually somewhat near his age. He introduces himself and she does as well, and it's actually Melissa Shields. Melissa Shields is someone that Izuku knows of but doesn't know that much of, knows her father, but that's about it. Izuku introduces himself as basically a support or a future support hero trying to get to that pursuit, in which Melissa says that she's worked on support items all her life practically, and maybe they should collab in that regard very soon. And she then asks him why he wouldn't want to be, well, a brute force type of hero, maybe a hero that would fight alongside the other heroes. And Izuku says that he definitely will get to that point. He promises that he wants to maybe eventually in the future make himself his own suit of armor, maybe something that could stand head to head with other heroes. But he does realize that if he's able to help others and help other heroes, it's as if he is on those front lines as well, in which All Might loves to hear that. He loves to hear the idea that someone's that passionate about helping other heroes succeed, not only just succeed in himself. He then explains to Izuku what the training will be and what they will do, in which will kind of consider a lot of different things, including sparring and stuff like that. But Izuku would be a little bit behind in terms of that, especially because Melissa is, well, the next user of One For All, in which this should be no surprise, especially when adding her into this story, and it kind of fits perfectly with Izuku himself. Izuku doesn't know of One For All, of course. He doesn't know anything about it. He just knows that she's being trained, and so on and so forth. All Might continues their training over this course of time, but Izuku would have to cut it kind of short. He tells Melissa that if she ever wants help on some support items, and if she does that in her off time, to let him know that he'd love to basically enhance them however she needs and sees fit, and so on and so forth. Melissa thinks that this is a great thing, a fantastic idea for them to work together, giving her number to Izuku, saying that they'll definitely talk very soon. Izuku waves and smiles as he says his goodbyes, and he begins to more or less work on himself, work on enhancing other things, and continue this development that he knows he can have. The working out and the training definitely affected his quirk. I mean, his stamina is way higher now, and so on. But on top of that, he does need time to hone his skills. How does he want to enhance this item? How does he want to enhance this item? How does he properly add certain effects? Because he knows that he can enhance speed, strength, stamina, and stuff like that. But can he enhance it in a different way? Maybe giving certain weapons different effects. Maybe making explosions bigger. Maybe making gauntlets shoot slows on top of an explosion. Maybe this or that. That's the things that Izuku has thought about. These are the things that Izuku needs to keep in mind. So he does just that. He begins to work. The next 2 months or so, he begins to work with gloves, gauntlets, and stuff like that, and he begins to use everything around him. He would go to a freezer somewhere very cold in a nearby supermarket, and he would begin to channel his enhancements on these gloves, and eventually would giving the gloves this chilling effect. If you land a punch on somebody, it slows them greatly, and Izuku realizes that this is amazing. This is even more he needs to learn. But as he makes this chilling effect, he kind of drops to one knee. He hasn't ever done this, so he's extremely tired already. He's kind of frustrated by it, but he knows that if he starts developing more and more stuff like this, it could be amazing. It could be like those video games. It just clicks in his head. He's like a video game character in a way. He runs back home and he talks to his mother about it, asking about certain video games, And of course, she doesn't know much about him, but gives him the go-ahead to basically buy as many video games as he needs. And he begins to look into these video games, learn about them via the internet, whatever you can think about. He begins to learn about these video games. What kind of enhancement do these video games have? Magic resistance, strength resistance, combat resistance, blade resistance, anything. He can add armor resistance to certain things, adding it so that maybe explosions don't do as much damage, magic doesn't do as much damage, punches don't do as much damage. He could add regenerative factors to certain clothing. How does he do that? He has no freaking clue at all. It must have some sort of different effect, just like the chilling. He had to be in an icy or a very cold state to more or less do that. How would he do a regenerative factor? Would he have to be in a hospital? Would he have to be around someone that has a regen-like quirk? He doesn't really know. But to be fair, that's why there are hero high schools. Hero high schools are made to help him learn and figure out anything he needs to figure out. Maybe it will take them a long time to figure it out as well, at least how exactly Izuku's quirk works. But still, they're here for it, or he's here for it as well. He's excited to get into UA, and he's very excited to do a bit of his testing and interview. After some time would pass, it'd be finally time for him to convene at UA. When he would arrive, he'd be greeted by many people, and a lot of them would actually be excited to see him, including some of the future students that are there for the hero exams. Izuku, on the other hand, would begin speaking with whoever he needs to speak with, and actually speaks with some other teachers that are currently at UA. Eventually, he does speak with the main support teacher by the name of Power Loader. He tells him that he has a test to take, and then right after he'll speak with him on a bit of an interview, but he knows he'll pass all of this with flying colors. Izuku nods as he begins to work on a test, and the test involves a lot of different things in terms of just morality stuff, and also what he would do in certain situations, and on top of that, different support items that he could make for certain situations as well. Izuku would pass this with flying colors. I mean, he had his quirk alone and the amount of experience he has would be very easy to figure stuff like this out. And on top of that, after finishing that test, the interview would go extremely well as well. He's talked to Power Loader a long time ago, not exactly recently, but he speaks with him about what he wants to do, what he strives for, what he wants to do for heroes, how he wants to help as much as possible, as if he's putting a piece of himself on the front lines. He might not personally at this moment be able to fight on the front lines with some of the top heroes and some of the most powerful heroes, but he wants to use his own technology, his own enhancements, all of that to show that even though he's not at the front lines, he's still affecting the people on the front lines. In which Power Loader is extremely happy to hear this. Izuku sounds like a born leader, even though he's not technically someone that would lead on the front lines against everybody else. He's still a leader from the shadows, and that could definitely be a beneficial thing for him to hold on to. He is a quote-unquote leader. He is someone that wants to help and preach and hope and give hope and inspire hope to everybody around him. So it's definitely something that is amazing about Izuku. He would pass that interview very easily. A Power Loader would think that he's an amazing student or amazing future student as well, and Power Loader would tell him that he's going to be working with various other support heroes and various other people alike. He'll actually be working on some of the technology for Class 1A and Class 1B, but more Class 1A because of his advancement already further. And they're going to be kind of sectioned off into who's going to be working on what. In terms of Class 1A, some of the support heroes will be designated for that, depending on the difficulty of the enhancement. But at the end of the day, UA is happy, extremely excited that Izuku decided to come here. I mean, they didn't want him anywhere else. Frankly, having Izuku here will be so beneficial. Having him, his technology, having his mind, having his quirk, all of it. His item enhancement quirk is levels beyond most support heroes, even right now. So the fact that he's going to be able to help all of them progress for their students and even accelerate the process of many heroes in Class 1A and Class 1B, and even 2A, 2B, and 3A, and people further down the line. definitely going to benefit 100%. So they're excited to have Izuku on board and excited to see what he can truly do, in which you'll be able to see very, very soon what he's able to do, because the first day of UA is coming up very, very quickly. Izuku would head back home, talk to his mother, and soon a letter would come in the mail saying that he got into UA and they're excited to be working with him. Welcome to the support course, or first year support course, and he'll be working alongside a multitude of support heroes. Some better than others, but some that may be as influential as Izuku in the near future. He can't wait, and he even hears that Mei Hatsume, someone he's spoken to briefly and worked with a little bit, is going to be at UA as well. Mei Hatsume, and also even Melissa, someone that's more or less leaning more into the hero role of things, is going to help him a ton, because Mei, being a absolute maniac in terms of her equipment and items, and on top of that, Melissa being the highly intellectual person she is, you're going to see a lot of amazing things come out of Izuku and amazing items being enhanced. How much more power can Izuku put into his items? How much more enhancement can he put into the items to help heroes in the future? You're going to have to find out in the next parts of What If Deku had an item enhancement quirk. And if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a sub, make sure to leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.